Oh my god, red lights. I've been recently riding to work and it's been like 30 degrees in the morning. I mean, the ride home has been nice. It's always been like 60 degrees. You can see my bike's all dirty from a previous off-roading excursion. Road closed, oh boy. Yep, adventure bike. That's my response to that. No ATVs or motorbikes in park. Horsey, horsey, horsey! Well, that's a gate to nowhere. Gate to nowhere. Ye old abandoned buildings. I am sort of proud I grew up here in western Pennsylvania. It's honestly really nice sometimes. Get to see some old farm equipment like that. Old farms. Lots of back roads to explore. I kind of have this weird thing where I like to go into cemeteries and check them out. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the morbid side of me or what, but I always like to read the headstones and just kind of imagine that that's a whole person's lifetime underneath that stone, and just kind of think about what their life might have been like and that sort of thing. Just kind of interesting to me. And it's funny because I hate people so much. I'm so introverted. Well, not to make it sound like I'm a weirdo or something to where I literally will refuse to talk to somebody. It's not like that. It's just I just generally don't care for people, their opinions and such. I'm a loner and I like to be by myself and just kind of do my own thing. But people seem to be more interesting to me when they're dead, turns out. And the thing I've often thought to myself is cemeteries are not for the dead. You could argue that cemeteries are for the bodies of the dead, sure, but cemeteries are for the living, to remember the dead. At least that's my interpretation. Because well, what good's a dead person going to get out of being 6 feet underground? They're dead. What do they care? You know, I understand the memorialization and the remembrance and everything, but the person that's dead ain't going to enjoy it. It's going to be the people that are living, the loved ones of that person that has passed away, that's going to be enjoying that. Like, I'm 23 years old. All my grandparents were dead by the time I was 10. And that's pretty early, you know, especially nowadays. You see people living on into their 90s and 100s and stuff. And I was alive when all 4 of my grandparents passed away. So I had to, at a very young age, I believe I was like 2 or 3 or so when my one grandfather passed away. And so from a very young age on up, I've had that experience with death. A lot of people don't have it until a little later on, maybe in their teens or something. I don't know. Everybody's different. But for me, it started quite young. And whether you're a religious or spiritual person or whatever, I'm not going to get into any of that in this video. My first real big crushing encounter with death, you could say, my real big sorrowful death, was probably my mom's mother, because I was probably closest to her growing up as a child, and she was one of the last ones to go, so I had the most memory of her and being the closest to her. And so that was probably one of the most crushing ones early on. And actually, even before that, my dog Pepper, his name was Pepper, it was like my favorite dog ever. He had bone cancer or something going on. My mom came in the living room one day and said, Pepper's gonna, you know, he's gonna die. He has bone cancer and he's not gonna make it through it. And I remember that really hit me pretty hard. And I was probably, I don't know, 8 or something. And to anybody that knows me personally, the real big earth shaker I've had in my life recently is when I was 17 years old, my dad passed away from cancer. It was cancer of the pancreas. He had it for about 2 years or so, and pancreatic cancer has an extremely high death rate. Yeah, he was 52 years old. He was young, and he got that disease, and we all pretty much knew that that would be it for him. He struggled with his health a little bit in his later years, pretty much after his 30s. He had one heart attack and then another, and then he had visits with cardiologists and stuff, and he wasn't disabled necessarily. You know, he still went to work and everything up until about pretty much when he got the cancer. And it was such a weird thing. I was very, very close to my dad. I'm the only son. I have 2 sisters, but I'm the only boy in the family. And I'm the youngest, and everybody said that I was his favorite, and I'm spoiled, you know, being the youngest, only boy. And I think they were right in a lot of ways. I think, you know, my dad kind of, you know, liked having a little boy and stuff. And I mean, it is sad. It really is. But it's not how some people may think it's sad. During my dad's sickness, the thing that really hurt me the most throughout this whole experience of him getting cancer up to his death, the thing that hurt me the most was seeing what the cancer did to him, and seeing the man I knew just being destroyed from the inside out, quite literally. He lost a lot of weight. In fact, as weird as this may sound, towards the end of it, I was sort of looking forward to his death just to release him from all the pain and the suffering, and seeing him like that. And, you know, he would always say, "John, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired." And there was times where he would break down a little bit, and I could see him worrying and stuff. I mean, anybody that would have a disease like that, there's going to be times like that. I don't care who you are. Especially when you're right there and it's threatening your life. There is absolutely no shame in being a little bit apprehensive. But he was strong, dude, all the way up until his death. He had a good attitude about it. He knew what was going on, and I love him for that. To this day, that never got bitter. You know, a 52-year-old man dying. It's pretty young. But never had a bad attitude toward anybody he loved, and I respect that to this day. He respected what other people wanted to do with their own lives, and he did not push anything on anybody. One of his good friends, Bob, he drove us, my immediate family, he drove us through the funeral procession and everything. And he talked about my dad, and he said John was just a guy that loved life, and he loved his family. And I absolutely agree with that. And I appreciate that so much, because I know there's a lot of families that don't have that their fathers aren't around, or even if they are, they're abusive or just flat out not good men to be around. And my dad was honestly one of the best men I've ever known, and he was my dad. I mean, I'm not just saying that because he was my dad. I honestly mean that. And I feel so lucky to have that experience growing up.